Holes, we're back. Hey, how are you guys doing out there? Uh, my name is Gene Tagaban. I'm of the Duckdanton, Wishkachan Yadi from Southeast Alaska. I'm now living in Tacoma. I'm coming to you from the land of the Coast Salish Puyallup people. And today we're going over Compass, a guide for men. And this is just put together by the Alaska Network on Domestic Violence, Sexual Assault, just as male engagement, just to start the conversation. As men, we have this here huge issue with showing our feelings, getting to know ourselves, and the topic of today is communication. What the heck is communication? And we'll be discussing that. And again, I'll just have my brothers here. Introduce yourselves here before we get going here.
Johan Duwali Lakibud Debtegu, Mescatlan, Alaska, Diwawatku. My name is Johan Echohawk Atkinson. I'm of the Wolf Clan of the Tsimshian Nation here in Metlakatlan, Alaska. And I just want to say, man, honored to be here, be able to share space with my brothers, and be able to discuss a topic, communication, that I feel that a lot of us men need to focus on.
Thanks, guys. My name is Doug Kester, and unfortunately, I don't know what clan I'm from. Someday I'm going to learn. I'm going to find it out. And but my ancestry is from Europe, like Germany and around there, and they did have clans back then, for sure. And I am lucky enough to be on this beautiful unceded territory of the Akwaan and the Takuquan peoples. And wow, just a beautiful place on Mother Earth. Thank you all.
Well, right on. It's good to be here. I just want to start this conversation off a little bit, that one of the reasons we're doing this is because not only to get the information out, to help others who might be listening, and to stop the violence, stop the abuse, the hurt and harm in Alaska, against our women or LGBTQ communities. But also, we talked about this, that we're doing this here, going over this curriculum of Compass, because we've all gone through it and teach it. But not only that, but we do it because we need it ourselves. Mm-hmm. And this is a huge reason why I'm going through this, because this helps me as well. And this it might be for selfish reasons, but it is what it is. I want to grow and I want to learn. Again, this is Compass, a guide for men, through the Alaska Network on Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, an initiative called the Alaska Men Choose Respect, and it's an evolving curriculum that's in here. So communication is the chapter we're going through this time. And the little quote that's in here, and again, we're just going to go through here, show you how to do it, how to use it, and this is it's just a discussion. There's a quote in here, and the quote says, "A way we communicate with others and ourselves ultimately determines the quality of our lives." The way we communicate with others and ourselves ultimately, determines the quality of our lives. And it says, through this lesson, young men will consider the key pieces to effective communication. So one of the pieces of this curriculum too, there's a story with each one of the chapters. And so I'll have Doug. Doug, you want to read that story for us, brother?
Yeah, let's read it. So each one of these sections in this book has a story, and this is this one. And starts out, "I can handle your telling me what I did or didn't do. And I can handle your interpretations, but please don't mix the two. If you want to confuse any issue, I can tell you how to do it. Mix together what I do with how you react to it. Tell me that you're disappointed with the unfinished chores you see, but calling me irresponsible is no way to motivate me. And tell that you're feeling hurt when I say no to your advances, but calling me a frigid man won't increase your chances. Yes, I can handle your telling me what I did or didn't do. And I can handle your interpretations, but please don't mix the two.
That's awesome. That's almost like a Dr. Seuss
I know.
piece, man.
I think I've read
After
so
you
many
started-
stories to my boys, I can't help but read it in like Dr. Seuss.
I mean, I've read it, and then after hearing you read it, man, I was like, oh man, okay, it totally sounds different. That's like a Dr. Seuss piece, you know. And so it's like these interpretations and communication is such a huge, broad subject and topic, man. I mean, what do you want to like? What's your thoughts on communication right now? I mean, you know, and just as we're digging into, you know, jumping into this chapter, what are you guys' thoughts? What the heck is communication?
Man, you know, I think with what you started off with and sharing that we're doing this for ourselves too. You couldn't have been more clear than that. You know, it's being able to communicate with not only others, but ourselves and the world in a healthy way. You know, there's no book on, or, you know, you don't enter this world knowing exactly how to communicate in a healthy way. What we did learn in this society, they teach you on how to not communicate, on how to not express your emotions, you know. So being able to have a tool where we could ask the hard questions, where we can address some of the things that need to be addressed is great. You know, these questions in here, you know, I want every single man and woman to be able to go through this book here. So when we do talk with our young men, you know, we also have been able to answer those questions ourselves. You know, just again, going back to when you said we're doing this for ourselves too, you know. But all in all, man, being able to communicate with others and ourselves and this world around us in a healthy manner, that's what's important. That's what we need, you know, and that's what we need to teach.
Right on.
True.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
What about Doug?
You know, I just keep thinking, there's like two things that I think about communication. One is I don't want to hurt or put down others. But I also, the second one is I want to stand up for myself. I want to be authentic in who I am. So like, how do I do both of those things? And it can be hard because a lot of times, you know, you're like, oh, I don't have the energy for it, or like, you know, and you don't stand up for yourself because you're, you know, for multitude reasons, you don't want to get into it because you're like, oh my God, I can't deal with this right now. But in the end, I feel like we do this in our relationships. We play them like poker or something. Like we hold our cards close to our chest and we don't let anyone see them, you know, and we're like pretending like we got certain cards that we don't. And, you know, you're not being real. You're not, I mean, when you're playing poker, you are trying to like fool someone and fake someone. And I catch myself doing that in my relationships even, where I'm like, why? Like, what is the point of that? But maybe it's because we're protecting ourselves or, you know, just afraid to be real.
You know, exactly. You know, and part of it too, how I see communication is well, first thing that came to my mind is I'm glad my wife isn't in here watching this right now.
Exactly.
Because she would be sitting here going, okay, I want to see exactly what you have to say about what is
right.
communication. You know, because that communication of, you know, we talked about that, our own interpretations of communication, what it is. You know, she has her interpretation. I got my male stoic, you know, sometimes authentic, sometimes inauthentic way of communicating as well. You know, so I'm glad part of that my wife isn't in here. Oh, you know, at the same time, if she wasn't here, it'd be good to have her here because she would be chiming in. What about this time? What about that?
Exactly.
You know, another part of communication, man, that I learned was that communication is happening all the time. It is always happening. You know, not only are we communicating to the outside world, just not only with our words, but with our facial expressions, our hand gestures, what we wear, how we hold our hair, how we hold our hair, how we eat, how we walk. Communication is happening all the time. And even silence is a communication. That's a type of communication as well, you know, and that's, to be honest with you, people see me as outgoing, which I can be, you know, and that's a part of it too. My wife would totally point out the silence that I hold when we're having a discussion or we need to talk about something, you know, because I will get silent, you know, and wrapped in my own thoughts, you know, and not only that outside communication to the outside world, but the internal communication. Because right now, you guys are communicating to yourselves. You're talking to yourselves, you know, and even through the communication right now, we're watching on the screen. We saw Johan go off, and we asked ourselves a question, going, "Oh, I hope everything's okay." You know, I hope that everything. But that's our own internal communication with ourselves, also. And we're always communicating in that way. And also communication doesn't happen with just words, like I said earlier. But with internally, we communicate through our own internal pictures, images, our feelings, or even the little voices that are going on in our minds. Our attention is always somewhere. Our communication is always happening. And just like it said in here, it's like the quality of our communication is equal to the quality of our lives. And that's the communication we have with ourselves. You know, and I think I told at one time, it's like, if somebody came up to me and talked to me the way that I talk to myself, I wouldn't put up with it. How dare they? But I allow myself to talk to myself in that way. You know, and part of this communication, I just want to point out, it's like, for instance, I mean, my wife and I, just last night, we had this here huge discussion about communication, about my tone, because sometimes to her, it might seem like I'm yelling, but to me, I'm like, I'm not, you know, but that's all her interpretation, how it is, you know, and then she might say some other things that might trigger me, and then I'll respond back in a certain way. But, you know, it's about that constantly learning and back and forth. It's like this here, you know, but in my relationship with her, we have ground rules, you know, how we want to communicate and be, you know, and be respectful, you know, and sometimes my old stuff just comes out, man. It just does. And sometimes I hurt feelings, you know, and my wife is like the most important person in my life, you know, and you know, and so it's like communication is like, it's like, how do I do it? How do I talk? How do I, you know, and I just want to say that it's a learning, evolving structure of how we do it, you know, and so that's kind of like how I'm seeing it too. So those of you who are watching, you know, it's just like what is communication? I'm asking the same question, man. That's why it's so good that we can be on this and talking about it. And so if you're in your own communities, I mean, it's like to find somebody, you know, other guys or other, you know, your sisters or aunties, or, you know, just like, what is communication? I mean, you know, there's like the communication of society today as opposed to the communication traditionally as well is much different, you know? And so any other thoughts that came up for you guys as I'm just rambling on about, you know,
I love it, you know, and because I feel that all of us men are in the same boat. You know, we're still learning how to overcome the things that we've went through and learned while we were all the unhealthy things, I should say, when we're boys, when we're young men, you know, when we're teenagers, you know. So it's a process. But the fact that we're willing to be able to confront those issues and overcome those issues, and using tools like this to be able to address those things so we could communicate more healthier, man, that's commendable. And I love that, Gene. So yeah, anybody that's watching, you know, this is a process, and I commend you for being able to pick up this book, use the tools that are available to you, and to overcome the things, to unlearn everything that we learned unlearn all the unhealthiness and to be able to communicate with ourselves, with our spouse, with everybody in this world around us. It's a learning process, but it needs to be done because every young man, every young person in this world deserves to have healthy men in their lives. But we got to confront all those things that we need to confront. We need to be able to express ourselves, and we need to be able to communicate. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Gene. That's a really great perspective. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh man, you like opened up so many boxes and packages. It's hard to know which one to focus on because man, they're all so important. I keep thinking how like we bring words which are so powerful, and I know in today's society we get bombarded by words, so maybe we don't imagine them being as powerful, but I really learned up north when I lived with the Inupiat just how powerful words are. And just a lot of their stories talked about the power of words. And so there's that, but then we bring this whole emotional component to it. And that is like a whole other hurdle to, get over or like move through while you're communicating. Because it's like, you're going to communicate that emotion, whether you think you are or not. It is like pouring out of you, and you come in like in some conversation, like let's say I come home, and my amazing wife too, starts saying, hey, you didn't clean this up, or what's going on here? And maybe I had like already like a bad experience out and I built up these emotions, and then I might snap, and like go beyond what she's just telling me some things. And I brought all this emotion from another experience into it. And then it carries it farther. And, I don't know, it never works out well. So I always try to bring my emotion into the communication, and somebody like, well, you say that, I'm feeling like this right now. And, just to express that, because it almost, when you do express it, it kind of takes a little bit of the intensity of the charge out, because it gets charged up. And when you express it, the charge goes down and you have a better chance of like making a connection, because that's what it's all about, man. It's just like making that connection and really clearly saying and hearing what needs to be communicated.
And when we put effort, when you said that you tried, when we put that effort into communicating, because the other face of that is, and even I'm guilty of it, that I'm working on is not even saying anything, to shut down. Okay, I'm mad. I don't want to talk about it. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go in the garage. It's shutting down. That's not effort. That's not trying. That's taking the easy way out, but to be able to make those changes that we need to put the effort in. We need to make those hard choices. We need to address those hard topics, so don't take the easy way out, and it's not easy to do, and like I said, us as men, I'm still working on that, but the fact that we are making effort and we're trying and we're learning, and that's what's important. That's what you need to focus on.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, because the previous chapters we had on this was like knowing who you are, knowing your emotions, respect for others, respect for self. All those chapters are right here in communication.
Right.
Are right here in communication. It's like, when you're in a relationship, how you have respect for others, respect for self, and knowing your emotions, but it's like, because all of that is communication, and so it's interesting because so a communication that didn't work for me at one time, and I'm just going to bring this up, like my wife and I, we had this discussion last night, because it's warm down here, and we had the TV on, and it was something that I didn't want on, and she was playing her games on the computer, and I just asked her, hey, is there anything else on? She didn't hear me. You know, is there anything else on other than this? And still, she didn't respond back to me. I said, fine. You know, and I didn't want to listen to this. So I got up, grabbed my guitar, went outside on the porch. Didn't say anything. And then later on, she came out and said, so what are you doing? I said, I'm just tired of that program. I didn't want to watch it. I told you a couple times, you know, and then she said, no, I didn't even hear you. I said, I said it. I said it, you know, and I put my foot down. There's got to be something. I didn't want to watch that. I'm just sitting out here playing my guitar, me and the dogs, you know, and hanging out. But then anyways, she got upset with it, you know, this and that. And you know, that was a communication that did not work, you know, because I just kind of stomped off. Silent treatment, silent, didn't say anything, you know, I'm good at that. I raised my hand, you know, and I just walked off, sat there with my guitar, like playing the blues on my guitar, man. Oh, poor me, you know, it's like type thing. And so that's a communication that did work. What about you guys? I mean, do you think of a time where it did not work? I mean, I can think of like hundreds of times, man, but that's the most recent one. That happened like last night.
Exactly. You know, I keep thinking when you guys are talking, like our like selves and our like communication selves are like forged in intense heat when we're younger. It's like a sword, you know? It's like it's being forged in this heat and it's being pounded out and then it hardens up. And when we have this hardened sword that we use, and it's our communication. But then the only way to kind of like change that, because we might have learned I know I've learned a lot of like bad communication growing up. So many bad communications growing up. So the only way I feel like, and this is what I'm trying to do now, and this is where you were talking about that effort in that like stepping into the uncomfortable feeling, because that is the forge again. That's putting your sword back in the forge, getting it ready to hammer out into maybe a new, healthier way of being. And it's an everyday struggle for me. I have 2 little boys, an amazing wife, but I'm the only man, honestly, especially in these COVID times. Like, so I'm like, you know, constantly doing my own thing, trying to figure out in my own brain and heart how to like interpret what they're saying to me. And, you know, sometimes I get frustrated and it comes out not in a clear way. That every time I communicate wrong, it's because some emotions built up. Boom, it pops out of my mouth, and then I'm like, oh man. And then when you're laying in bed at night, you go, oh man, I shouldn't have said that like that. And yeah, just I'm struggling to do it, but I've been trying.
Yeah, I feel the same way. You know, I've had those moments where I'm lying in bed like, oh man, I did exactly what my 10-year-old version of Johan did, silent treatment. And I'm 39 now. So I'm still taking those, you know, those 10-year-old activities. I'm not going to talk to you. And still doing it right now. And you know, so yeah, it takes effort, you know, and I've had those same moments, you know, it's like, man, but the fact that, you know, I'm willing to admit that, the fact that we're all willing to admit that is that huge step, you know, these wrongs and that growth needs to happen. But next time that you go out and play the guitar, Gene, I mean, because I do the same thing. When you're playing the blues, play it real loud. I wish my wife would listen to me. Those are those subtle hints. And she's like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, but I'm in the same boat, you know, it's, you know, we all are, you know, as men, not going to deny that, not going to say that we have all the answers, you know, but the effort is there. And just, I encourage every single man to be able to reflect on themselves and ask them, what does communication mean to me? You know, no matter how old you are, no matter where you are in that path in your life, you know, whether you're just beginning, whether you've been on this healing journey, you know, asking those questions on yourself. What does communication mean to me? And having that understanding and having that self-reflection, that's what the young men are going to see. And that's what the young men are going to learn from, you know, because if my sons see their dad, you know, deep in thought, and I'm talking about, you know, I want to be able to communicate with everybody in my family and all of my friends in a healthy way, you know, at their age, that's going to be an impact. All our all our nephews and just everybody in our community in general, you know, those are the positive changes that make a difference, you know. So we need to ask ourselves that no matter who you are, where you're at, you know, ask yourself that. What does communication mean to you? It's a really great question. And it's such a broad topic. We could talk all day on the different ways of how to communicate, you know, and things that we could do and how it reflects all of our lives. But the first step, got to ask that question. Got to ask the question what it means to ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that, Johan. You know, it's like what you brought. It takes effort, man. Got to work at it. You know, for myself, I have to sit down and just like think about it. And, you know, and even my thought process just isn't as fast as my wife's. You know, sometimes she wants an answer right away and I don't have it for her. You know, I think about it more. I just take more time at it. So, for instance, like last night, I told you about a communication that didn't work. So later on, we sat down and we just started talking about it. And even if it was like kind of, we were both mad, we were both angry. You know, because it wasn't just, to be honest with you, it wasn't just about last night. It kind of built up. It was a built up of things throughout the whole week, throughout the 2 weeks, throughout this whole pandemic close down, man. You know, just energy, frustrations. So and that's it, man. In our communication, it's never really about one thing. It's like it was this accumulation of things until it just like kind of like steamed over, and then so we had a discussion about it, and we talked about it. We're both a little angry about this and that. You know, we both came to, you know, okay, you're you, and there's parts of you I know I won't understand. You know, until maybe we get older, as we grow together, I'll understand you. And like me, there's parts of me that you will just don't understand. As we age together, we grow together. You know, part of it too. I want to point this out too, is like, because I know, and if you get in a relationship with somebody, and even with yourself, but you know, with a relationship with somebody, you know how to push the buttons, man. And you got to watch out for that, because sometimes your emotions will get just overflowing, and you'll just spurt out, just like you said, Doug. You know, you just spurt something out just because you know that's going to push the button. And I want to tell you that in our relationships, I know my wife, she just doesn't forget that stuff, man.
Yeah. Oh, they remember forever.
And she just remembers. and it will come up again. So it's like,
oh, yeah.
You know, I have to be careful with my words, and you know, and am I saying that just because I want to hurt her? Because the truth is, I don't want to hurt her. I do want to resolve this, but at the same time, I want her to be respected, and I want to be heard too. So there's that fine line there, man. So last night, I mean, we've resolved it. You know, we hugged it up afterwards, you know, and we're able to go to bed. One thing I want to say is, like, you know, when we go to bed, and don't go to bed mad. Don't go to bed mad.
Yeah, clean it up.
Clean it up. Clean it up, and don't go to bed mad. So, you know, we cleaned it up, you know, went to bed, you know, feeling good, and knowing we love each other. But we had to talk it out. You know, and sometimes it's hard, man. It's hard because then you have to be real about yourself, your fears, your truths, your authenticity, you know, because I mean, I'm in this relationship with her and she knows me. And, you know, there's parts of me she doesn't, but sometimes she knows me more than I know myself, man. And I don't want to admit it. I don't want to admit that. You know? And so that was like, so it worked out. So that was a time where our communication did work out. And most of the times, yeah, we'll have our spats and stuff, but we'll work it out, man. We'll work it out.
Yeah, and that actually working it out, man. With myself, when things don't work out, it was because of what I learned, what was taught, you know. And Doug, I know you could relate to this because I got sons as well, you know. But being able to ask the young men, what are you feeling right now? You know, what's bothering you? You know, please tell me. And the more we ask our young men and the boys to have them express that, then it's going to help them later on in our lives. Because the way I see it, I made all the mistakes that they need to make. All the big ones anyway. They can make small mistakes and grow from it, you know, but the unhealthy communication, man, I already did all that. I already learned all that. I'm going to heal from that. So now I want to be able to prevent that. And having the young men and the boys asking them, you know, what are you feeling right now? It's okay to be able to share your emotions and feelings, you know, please communicate with me. And making that word familiar with them, you know, communication, you know, the reason why it's healthy to communicate, you know, it's, you know, because I'm in the same boat, you know. It was, you know, there's times where my wife and I went to bed pissed off many times, you know. And that's one of the greatest things that I love hearing. I've heard from all over since the day I got married, you know, don't fall asleep mad at each other. You know, got to resolve it. You know, you got to clean it up. I love that term, Doug. You know, you got to clean it up. You know, but when we confront all of the things that we need to confront, man, it's hard sometimes. You know, hard to be able to address some of them. Make yourself vulnerable and say, yeah, damn, I was wrong. I was really wrong. You know, I shouldn't have gave you the silent treatment. You know, and being able to admit those things, you know, but that's the way I view it, you know. I know I said it before, but when I don't want to talk, I'm like, okay, I've had enough, you know, I'm done. I'm gonna go out in the garage and work on something. That's what my 10-year-old version of Johan used to do with my siblings. I'm not talking, I'm done, and step away, you know. So those simple things lead into our adult life, and being able to ask our boys and the young men to share all the time. What are you feeling? You know, why do you think you're feeling like this? And sometimes when the young men are, you know, feeling lots of emotions, give them time to reflect on it, or give them time to calm down, and let them know, hey, well, when you're calmed down, I want to ask you some questions. You know, and make that a normal thing in their life where they are going to communicate and express what they're feeling, because those are the seeds that are needed for when they grow up, that are going to have a huge impact in their relationship, in communication, and in respect, you know. And not having all these walls built up that us men have, and that we're trying to work and heal from and take down, you know. We want our young men and our boys to be in their communities healthy and strong. So, yeah, I just want to share that.
That's so perfect. And it all leads to me, and I keep thinking about the other aspect of communicating, and it's the listening part, and just how powerful that is. It's even hard to express how powerful it is. And I've been learning, I just learned recently that when women talk, that is how they diffuse their emotion, their energy. They talk, and when they can talk about something, they actually build up oxytocin, the hormone, the love, the connection hormone. They build it up as they go. And that's not how most men do not have that reaction. Like, we sometimes, like, that is not our thing to just like keep talking. That's not how we get fed. But one of our powers is listening. We actually can build up testosterone just by listening. And it's such a gift. It's a gift of what you said earlier, Gene, is like focused attention. And if you can listen to someone with your whole body and not be thinking about your own stuff and your own hurt, and just like fully listen. My grandfather actually always told me this. It was one of his biggest lessons. If you want to make friends, if you want people to like you, he would say, then listen to them. Because, and you try this, go to a party and just like find someone, or go to like a potlatch or whatever, and just like ask them questions about their life and just listen to them. They will, after 15 minutes, they'll think they had the best conversation ever, because people love it. People love to, like, to get it out. And it's such a gift that you can give the people, is just your focused attention and listening and your curiosity, because people are amazing. It's super curious. Like, sometimes I even do that when my kids are freaking out and doing their thing. I'll be like, I'll like try to activate that curiosity inside me and be like, so what's really going on? Like, what's the deeper part of that? Like, and just try to dig down. And I don't know, sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. But what do you think, Gene?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, a part of communication is listening, and listening without the intent of responding. Listening to and not only listening, but hearing, and because oftentimes, like, listening, hearing, and just taking that moment, authentic listening, because we always have the voice in our mind. It's going, like, each and every one of us. Again, we're still talking to ourselves, but oftentimes that little voice gets in the way, and instead of listening, we're already thinking about the response that we're going to get back, and that itself is a communication, and even our body language. There have been times where I'm talking to my wife, and suddenly she says something, and I just do this. I go,
yeah, exactly.
and then she automatically goes, "What? What?" I'm going, nothing. It's like, and because that's that nonverbal communication. You guys are laughing because you've done the same thing.
Oh, totally.
And it's like, and so that's that communication too. It's like, those nonverbals like that. But listening is so key. Hey, I want to ask you this question, guys. And we kind of talked about it after we were done with the last one. But, and if we're communicating right now to young men, teenagers, young 20-somethings right now, and even those who are our age, man, and I'm saying our age, I'm mid 50s now. Johan, you're on that cusp of going to 40s. I think Doug, you're already there, right?
50s, yeah, 53.
Yeah, you're 53. Oh yeah, you're right behind me, man.
Exactly.
But anyways, I mean, those even our age group. But there's this thing I want to say is that that we call jealousy. Jealousy. Right now we're talking about relationships, and a huge part of communication, is our self-communication to ourselves. And when we get into relationships, that self-communication, and we talk about jealousy, it's about insecurities. We don't feel good about ourselves. We're down on ourselves. That thing they call self-esteem, or I like to call self-concept, about the image and how you see yourself. It all gets wrapped up into, if we get into a relationship and we see our partner, our girlfriend, whoever, they may be talking to somebody. They may even be talking to somebody taking an order at the restaurant. And I've seen this happen where this other person, they say, "Oh, you like them or something?" It's like, but it's like that's that self-communication that we have with ourselves. And sometimes it turns into like jealousy. And the jealousy is an anger. It's a hurt. It's an energy of unresolved grief, of unresolved trauma, of your own personal hurts that sometimes you don't even know where they came from, And I just want to say, is like that jealousy is like that it will get in the way of your whole life. And that's a type of communication. It's a communication with ourselves. You know, what are your thoughts on that? You know?
Yeah, you know, that's a topic that, man, I'm happy that we're addressing, you know, because personally, because I got so many young nephews, you know, I got my sons, you know, and people in my community who are young men, and they're in, you know, they have their girlfriends. So being able to address that now and being able to communicate with that now and having the young men hear us say that, and all men of all ages as well, you know, because we all have our insecurities. I'm going to say it, as men, you know, we do. But being able to ask ourselves, why do we have those insecurities? Why does my walls and lack of communication go up when I'm having these, you know, and having the young men have those questions asked to them, you know, most of the time they're going to shut down. They're like, whoa, this is the first time someone's asked me, why am I so jealous? Why am I not communicating? But those traumas, which exactly what it is, everything, the traumas that we've been through in our life and the way of thinking, I believe, is the foundation of that jealousy, is that self-respect, is the lack of communication, and addressing that and bringing that to light. That's the best thing that we could do as men. I'm gonna say men first, and then young men, and then boys. You know, being able to really take the time and reflect, and why am I communicating this jealousy, these jealous thoughts? Are asking a young man, why do you have these feelings? Why are we being jealous? Why are you being jealous? And slowly unravel that and break that down. And that could take a very long time. I'm just gonna say it. But taking that first layer off is, oh, because of this, oh, because I went through this, and finding down to that core of that trauma and having an individual heal will help them in their relationships. And I just feel that I'm involved with so many of my nephews and my sons and so many young men here in my community. Is I know that with the life that they're growing up here in today's society, that those thoughts are gonna probably come at some time or another. So, but what else is gonna come, and this is the important part, is that us as men are gonna be able to ask those questions, is gonna be able to address those jealousy questions head on, when we're gonna confront them ourselves, because we have to overcome the things that we need to overcome in order to help other people overcome them and learn in a healthy manner. You know, because we all want the best for our young men, and that's the reason why we're doing these videos, because we want our young men to be healthy and strong, and to communicate in a healthy way, not communicate in a jealous way, not communicate where there's no communication at all. We have to take those steps, and it's all this unraveling. What's the source of this? What's the source of this? But we have to do it with ourselves too, if we want the young men and the boys to also do that and learn in a healthy and respectful way.
Yeah, I like that. I just want to make this point here real quick too. I mean, with that, yes, and sometimes we'll get in relationships too, where your partner is feeling jealous. You know, and that's a whole nother dynamic. But it's also the communication is about helping them or assisting them to feel secure. It's okay. It's okay. Because healing needs to happen. Healing needs to happen on both parts, on both sides too. It's like you're about to reassure them that things, you know, it's okay. You know, things are okay. You know, sometimes, yeah. I mean, yeah. So I just wanted to point that out as well.
It's such a great one, because it just shows you that energy that's behind, that emotion that's behind the communication, the jealousy at this point. And where is it going to lead you? Is it just steering you out of control? And it does. And oftentimes people use that emotion to control people, control their partner. And that is the road to harm, basically, is that domination and control, because they're feeling insecure, and they're feeling like, that they don't have the trust in themselves or in that other person. So they start to control every little thing, and they start to text them and be like, what are you doing? Who are you hanging out with? And man, I feel like if I could, I would just love to like give a gift of confidence to every young man. And how we do that is maybe through ceremony, maybe through initiation stuff, but we need to because confidence, you're not going to be jealous. If you are confident in yourself, who you are, maybe they are looking the other way. But if you stand strong in yourself, in your authentic self, there's no one who can tear that down. Only you tear that down within, basically.
Yeah. I want to add on to that confidence, but healthy confidence. Productive, healthy confidence.
Nice.
You know, because it's like there's people are confident, but they're really arrogant.
Yeah, there's fake confidence.
There's that fake confidence. Yeah, it's like, but it's like that healthy wellness, that good.
It's humble.
You know,
confidence is humble.
It's humble. It is too. It's humble. Yeah.
And I want us to go on record right now for every boy, young man, man to hear this, because it needs to be said. Man, being jealous and to a point where you're controlling, where it's hurting the other individual, that's not the way. You know, you have to overcome those things within yourself, and you have to address your own traumas, because we have to work on ourselves to be able to overcome those, and listening. You made a really good point about us having our girlfriend, our spouse be jealous as well. Well, that's the part where we have to listen, we have to understand, and we got to have that healthy part of the communication where I want to understand where you're coming from. I want to understand why you're jealous, because it goes both ways.
Yeah, because I care about you.
Exactly. Yeah. And that has to be said, that has to be taught, and that has to be heard. So I just want to say right now, doing harm, being controlling, being jealous, that is not the way. And I want everybody to hear that. Those are the things that we have to address, and we have to relearn what needs to be, what we need to learn to have a healthy approach in communication. And that just goes in every other chapter that we talked about. Respect for self, respect for others. It all intertwines, but we have to be able to understand and address those questions ourselves.
Right on. Hey everybody, I just want to I'm here with my brothers here. We're going over this curriculum. It's called Compass, a guide for men. It's with the Alaska Network on Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault. It's just a male engagement on just a guide for men to start the conversation. How do we start the conversation of wellness to stop the domestic violence, the sexual assault, the hurt and harm that are being perpetrated against our women, our LGBTQ brothers and sisters, our relatives out there, and it's all about healing and getting the conversation started. That's what we're going through right now. And that conversation, this chapter we're going through is over communication. And again, it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing. So a couple of things I want to point out here. So we have a story. We have other questions talking it out within this guide. And the questions in here talking out are just simple, just to get the conversation started. But one of the things that we have in here too is it's called teachable moments. And so it says under the teachable moments is if you see that someone is on their phone while others are trying to talk, reinforce that active listening means putting away other distractions. Again, that active listening, and I've done that. I mean, in my relationship too, is it's just that I've been on the phone texting or whatever, and my wife is even just going and say, so who are you talking to? Is there somebody there more important than I am? And at this moment. And so it's like that active listening. And the other teachable moment is when you're having a discussion and others are not listening or paying attention, use I statements to express how that makes you feel. It's like, hey, I feel not heard right now, or I feel
Affected or
yeah, exactly. Or I feel thankful that you're listening.
Yeah. Even
It's
better.
oftentimes we think about the negative, but no, it's like there's a positive, that reinforcement. Hey, I feel like I'm appreciated. I feel like I'm loved. I feel like I'm on my way to that healing or resolving this. So another part of this here curriculum is called Living the Lesson. So in the Living the Lesson, it's like when listening to others, listen to understand as opposed to respond. Listen to understand, to actually hear them. Choose respectful words when talking with others. Even when you're expressing, man, I mean, sometimes I'll throw out a curse word here and there and stuff like that, but I got to watch that, especially with who I'm with. And one ground rule my wife and I have is not to call each other names, especially in the heat of an argument or disagreement. Living the lesson. Identify how you feel when you want to get across what you want to get across and how to communicate that to others. And that's like Johan said, it's like you got to do the work, man. It's like, you got to put the work in, and it can be hard, easy. I mean, yeah, sometimes it can be hard, but we got to put the work in, put the time in, and learn about it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, use I statements confronting somebody who has upset you. Pay attention to your own body language. Be mindful of your tone of voice. Your tone of voice. It's like when I'm talking really loud like this, that might be harmful for somebody, as opposed to like something like that's more calming. You can still get the tone across. And so there's that tone. And so that's just a few of the things in this chapter here. Any last things that come to your mind that you just want to point out as we come to a close here?
I just want to say, for every young man and man out there, you can and you have what it takes to overcome your traumas. You have what it takes to be able to approach all aspects in your life in a healthy manner, to learn how to communicate in a healthy way, because you deserve it, your spouse deserve it, your community deserve it. And when we approach things in a healthy way, when we have that self-respect and that communication, that's going to be that change that the next generation is going to see, is going to learn, from our actions. So, man, we all need to put in the work. We all need to confront these issues, and we all need to grow and heal. So, because every single one of us, everybody watching, has a younger person in their life that is going to learn something from you. And let's make what they are learning to be healthy, to be inspiring, to be that change that we need in this world, because we want to end all abuses, all hurts, and everybody to be safe, because you all deserve it.
Right on. Thanks,
So
Johan.
true. Thanks, Johan. And just to play off of that is just again something you said, Gene. It's just listening to yourself. We distract ourselves all day long with our phones and shows and this and that, and that's part of the healing, is listening to yourself. And it's uncomfortable. Guys don't like to listen to themselves and their own feelings. And man, it can be super powerful though to know why you're feeling that way, or like what is the root of it. You just keep digging down, you find that tap root, and when you find it, just embrace it, because that's the only way to heal it, is just embrace it. It's not about trying to like push it away and get it out. It's part of who we are, and it comes up in unhealthy ways when we try to run from those emotions and those big hurts. So I love all of you that are listening. Like Johan said, it's just, let's do it. Let's just try. Let's just do it. Let's make this happen and heal ourselves and not hurt each other.
That's right.
Right on. It's like, again, healing. And think about the elder you want to be. Think about that elder you want to be, and then think about that elder and then go back. How did you get to that point of being that respectful elder? And what are those steps? And it takes work, man. It takes work. And communication. One thing I want to throw out there too is spiritual communication. As indigenous people, our communication with ancestors. And how do we talk to them? Just like I'm talking right now to you guys. As if you are my ancestors. That's that spiritual communication, to talk to them. They're waiting. They're waiting. And talk about authentic listening.
Yeah.
That's authentic listening. They're there for us. But how can we be there for them too? And part of that is we need to work on our own communication and our own healing. And that's helping them as well.
Heal them by healing ourselves.
Yeah, they could be there for us, but we have to be there as well. We have to step up as well. So right on, brothers.
Yeah.
So again, this is Compass, a guide for men. Alaska Network on Domestic Violence, Sexual Assault. And we have a YouTube channel. And what's that YouTube channel there, Doug?
Alaska Gathering.
Alaska Gathering, right on. And we're just putting this out there. We'll bring it out there to you more. And just again, this is just a guide. This is just help you out. So with that, I just want to say thank you, Ganachish, and all you out there who took time just to watch this, to view it. Thank you for taking that time, and and we'll see you down the road, eh?
Ganachish.
Ganachish.